Good evening, everybody. We're so excited to have you with us tonight. We are so excited about this show. We are halfway through October at this point, and we are close to 4 months into the show. And what an exciting time it has been for us to do the show, but for you to have us as a part of the journey and just what it means to be a part of the relationship of the Elijah sisters. So we welcome you all tonight on this Friday, October the 14th. And we're just so excited about today's podcast. It's a little bit different because we're reviewing a movie that we were excited about, and from a very special point of view, because it's from a pastor's kid's perspective. Because in case you haven't figured it out, that would only be because today is your first time listening. We are all pastors' kids.
Surprise!
So we're going to give it from a viewer's point of view, but from our very special and particular point of view. So before we move forward, I did not forget to put my hair on. Today is Bald and Free Day. And so for those of you who just don't have hair, we're celebrating you, but specifically for those who are in the cancer community or chronically ill community and have had treatments, chemotherapy and radiation, who have lost their hair, we are celebrating just being free to not have our hair right now and the beauty that there is. So I'm thankful to have my sisters giving me their support and their encouragement tonight, as well as all of my friends and followers in the This Is What a Fighter Looks Like community, which is my organization, and all of those of us who are fighting and winning and looking fearless, fierce, and fabulous while we fight. All right. So we're going to get right into tonight, because tonight is going to be just capital fun. Since we're dealing with movies tonight, I wasn't going to do a lot of news updates, but I wanted to get into just a little bit of a topic of conversation. So we have some movies coming up in the near future. So there's a movie coming up with Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, two of my favorite actors. And it's called Spirited. It's coming out for the holiday season. Have you seen the trailer for that yet?
I saw Spirited. Yeah, I saw that the other day. Really, because I follow Ryan Reynolds so on TikTok and on YouTube. So that came up and I was like, oh.
I literally watched it 3 times in a row. I just had to keep watching it. It was so funny. For me, Elf is one of my favorite Christmas movies anyway.
I watch it every time it comes back on around, because I'm like, I will rewatch that, and it doesn't matter if I catch it in the middle, if I catch it towards, it don't matter. I don't care if they say it's 30 minutes left, I'm gonna watch the last 30 minutes.
I mean, I'm team Will Ferrell. The only movie he has done to date that I don't like is the really serious one. Is it Stranger Than Fiction, the one where he's like doing the yard sale when his wife get divorced?
I like that one.
Really?
I didn't like it the first time I saw it. Is because I wasn't prepared, because I was waiting for the funny. But when I saw it again, I kind of liked it.
Maybe I got to watch it again, but I've also watched it twice. But
you don't like it.
Is Stranger Than Fiction the one that he had like somebody was like narrating his life, or is that a different movie?
That's a different one.
Because that's the first one I saw that was kind of not funny. That I was like, okay, Will, I see you trying to do something different. I can't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It's just I love him.
That one.
Yeah, he's just so good at comedy.
Yeah,
that it just, to me, when I go to Will Ferrell, I want Will Ferrell.
Exactly.
But this movie looks like it's classic Will Ferrell and classic Ryan Reynolds, and Octavia Spencer is in it. So bing bang boom.
Okay. Well, that's
we done.
All right.
I mean,
trifecta. To wrap it up in a bow, unless
I don't need any more information. There you go.
Well, that's it.
Okay. So it's the Ryan Reynolds, Will Ferrell, and Octavia. Cool, thank you.
And it's a musicale. So I mean,
oh,
we're done. Like, I don't even care.
I need to check that out.
Like, I don't
because
care.
I like the. Did y'all see Eurovision? Because that was a musical that Will Ferrell was in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Eurovision was hilarious.
Listen, I still watch Zoolander, so
yeah. That's. I mean, I'm sorry, y'all. You ain't got. I ain't sorry. Y'all don't know why I said that. I like the movie.
Speaking of movies that are coming up, now that we've had good conversation, for me, the tides will turn. So there's we're in the reboot remake era right now, and so they are rebooting House Party.
I saw you said something about that, and I didn't even know about that. I'm not excited about that.
Who's in it?
It's
Unknowns.
one of the no, they're not unknown, but it's one of the characters from The Chi. I don't really watch that, but when
I say unknown, I mean they're not like major.
It's the premise is that these two young men are cleaning this house, and it's LeBron's house. They don't know it at first, and they figure out it's LeBron's house. And I guess one of the guys needs to raise money for his daughter tuition for school, and they figure let's throw a house party, and they're inviting all these celebrities. So it's like Snoop's in it, Lil Wayne's in it,
the
Lena
more you
Waithe.
talk, the less I want to see the movie.
I know, I'm like,
I know Kid and Play makes a cameo because of course that makes sense.
So are they playing the same characters? Or are they just like rebooted it with like these?
I just saw them make a cameo, so I'm not overly invested in it at the moment.
If they not Kid and Play in it themselves, I don't want to see. If they just came like their neighbors, like some random neighbors, or
But I'm like, I watched the original House Party like not too long ago. Not too long, but I saw I rewatched it. I just was kind of like, I can't. That doesn't need a reboot. Like
it does not.
It wasn't that great
because
when
honestly,
it came out.
the last one with Immature in it, I was like, that wasn't necessary.
No,
we could have
not
had that one.
The first one,
I forgot all about that one too.
the first one isn't that great. Honestly, it's not an amazing movie. The sequels got worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
What are you rebooting? Like, let's be honest. Yes, it's nostalgic. Yes, it's part of our culture and the 90s babies. But you're rebooting a mediocre movie. It's not. That's not like rebooting like a Batman or a Superman. But like you're rebooting a movie that was like, if people are honest, it's a mediocre movie.
Yeah, they don't know it's mediocre because of the it's a cult classic. So you don't really know.
But
like,
that is a cult classic because it's Kid and Play.
And so leave it alone.
Like,
just bring it back out. But don't re-release it, but don't reboot it. And when you reboot it, you're still changing the premise of it in some ways.
And you're
like LeBron James, and I was done.
It's like you already know where they're going.
Something like the jokes.
That just means you're doing too much. That means you're doing too much. If you got to bring celebrity basketball, you're doing too much, and you're not doing enough. So you need them to push it.
Yeah.
Right. I'll be honest. It has enough jokes and humor from the clips. It looks like it's doable. I wouldn't pay to go see it. I'll wait till it drops on HBO Max.
That's how they get you.
But here's my thing, and I said this to Michael when I said it to Michael earlier. My concern is that's the funniest parts of the movie.
And that's how they get you in them trailers. You be like, oh my gosh, that looks so funny. And you watch the movie and be like, that was literally the only. And
as expensive as theater
you tricked
right
me.
Now,
really?
If I spend $10 and that,
I'm not spending any money.
That $1.50, that minute 50 was the funniest parts of the movie. I'm gonna be hot.
If it was 99 cents on Amazon Prime, I'm not spending money to see that movie. It has to be on something I already have. It has to be on something I already have. Like if it's on HBO, like if it's already on HBO Max, okay, cool, I'll look at it. If it pops up on Showtime, okay, I'll look at it. But I'm not about to spend no money for a reboot of House Party. I wouldn't spend money for the original House Party. Like, no. I'm like, it could be. I'll put it this way: it could be better than I think it is, but I'm not.
Well, I'll see. I'm gonna follow
I'm not
it.
as excited about this as I am. I'm more
Spirited.
excited about the Little Mermaid
Spirited.
movie
Right.
than I am about this.
I'm gonna follow it. Me personally, I'm gonna follow it. I'm not doing backflips about it, but I do personally believe in supporting Black cinema. And so, you know, I'm gonna follow it. When I saw it, just me personally, my first thought, as with many things right now, is why are they rebooting it? Why does it need to be touched?
Exactly.
And saying
they
that,
don't want to be creative and take risks.
But I'm saying that specific property is like House Party. Okay.
I mean, honestly, I got it. I understand why they would want to. It's just not necessary.
No.
But in saying that, I'm going to segue into, if you think that is ridiculousness, they're remaking White Men Can't Jump.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Can I just say no, thank you? No, thank you.
I will gladly see House Party before I see White Men Can't Jump remade. Now,
I never saw the. I never saw the.
I never saw it all the way through. It didn't. Yeah. It was never a movie I was like itching to go see.
I saw the first one like a long time ago. Like it's not something I rewatch, but like I've seen it.
It's not. There's not a trailer out for it, so I don't know who's playing the Wesley Snipes character. But take a guess of who's playing Woody Harrelson's character, because I just saw that released today.
No, and I'm worried now because you asked me to guess.
Justin Bieber.
I know.
He's not well right now.
Justin Timberlake. Yeah, he got sick with something that messed his face up. So
he's
Justin Timberlake.
Jack Harlow.
Who?
Wow.
That white rapper.
So many
Jack Harlow.
The fact that I said who should show. Okay.
I don't know.
He can drop some rhymes. He got a little flow, but
but
acting to me is a whole other premise.
That'll be okay. Because my thing is this, because it's been a lot of entertainers that have been, people keep giving them movie roles because they are that entertainer. And let me tell y'all something. I do not care about entertainers wanting to cross over and get into acting. If you want to really do that, fine. Be your best self. But that doesn't mean people need to give them lead roles and things. Like, let them, because a lot of times that's the worst part of the movies.
I've never seen him act, so I don't know if I can put him in the that actor category. I've never.
Has he ever acted in anything?
I've never seen him do anything. I know he hasn't. I know he hasn't.
If he has, it's not been nothing. He ain't carried no movie. And that role,
and I think a lot of his videos are animated. He doesn't even
if he.
I'm saying, because some people you could even honestly some artists are produced, like their videos are highly produced. You can see there's a skill there.
Yeah.
But from the few videos of his I've seen, because I'm really not chasing Jack Harlow. The few videos of his that I've just caught, some of them even have animation in them. So I'm like, you're not even always you in your own stuff, dude.
Like,
so
I remember the acting in White Men Can't Jump. I remember the level of acting in White Men Can't Jump.
It was actors.
You can't just put a rapper in that role and
no,
I don't know who's playing Wesley Snipes. Like, you can't just put people in the roles and being like, here, like that. Those were major actors. Like
at the height of their career, where their careers were absolutely taking off, both of them.
Like, you don't have to like Wesley Snipes. You don't have to like, but you have to admit these were major actors that could and can still act. They weren't just put in a movie. So you can't just be like, we're gonna put two dudes in this iconic, classic movie and be like,
it seems to be that they're about to put two dudes in this remake of this iconic movie. Huh?
Whitney Campbell just shared our video. I was just saying, giving her a shout out. Hey, girl.
Oh, that's one of my model buddies. Hey, wait. Hey, girl.
So silly.
But now that movie, that actually made me mad because that's so disappointing. That's so disappointing.
Well, we're just going to put that on the altar. We're going to just lay it before the Lord. But it's coming. They're working on it.
I'm so old. I am so old that, like, I remember when I was younger, I used to try to keep up with, music. And I'm like, I am so not interested in learning about new artists and their music.
Me neither.
So I can't like Jack Harlow. I've only heard his name, and the only time it stood out to me was because he was connected to Brandy.
Right.
And that's it.
That wasn't great. His part wasn't great. But I'm glad you said that, because we're about to do a rapid fire part before we get started in the rest of our show.
Here we go.
Because I want to have a little fun. We are all 90s babies. I'm a little bit of an 80s baby. I'm a little bit older.
I'm an 80s baby.
Well,
I'm a tad older.
I was born in 85, so I don't remember.
I'm an 80s baby, but I came into my own in the 90s. I claimed the 90s for sure.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna all, for today, for ticks and giggles, we're gonna all just claim the 90s. Okay. So I'm gonna ask you. We'll do 5 categories, and we're gonna do your top 3 and all 5, and this is rapid fire. So I don't want you to think about it. I just want you to give me your boom, boom, boom.
Oh boy.
Of what defines your youth when you think about it, right? So you think back to the 90s, your top 3 in music.
In the 90s?
Yes.
Okay. Boom.
Okay.
Angelique.
Okay. It's about to be all over the place. NSYNC, Evanescence, and Usher.
Wow.
All over the place. And I had to do top 3.
All of the radio stations.
It was you said top 3 because it's way more than 3, but I was like, yeah.
Chantilly.
I don't know if Destiny's Child counts because they came in right at the end of the 90s. So
We'll count.
It'll count.
Okay. You can spill into a little bit of the 2000s, but we'll say you can say that.
All right. So Destiny's Child for sure.
For sure.
Brandy and Monica. I'm done.
I'm surprised you didn't say Left Eye, because I thought you wanted to be Left Eye at one point.
Okay, yeah, Tia's. Well, I did. Okay, Tia's. I was Left Eye. First of all.
Now, if we get to keep rewriting and adding, now I feel like it's 4-5. Now we just get to rewrite and add folks.
Okay, she added one. You can add one.
Now we'll add one. I found a reason. Just being petty
You
now.
want to add one now?
I think my top 3 would have to be, and I knew this before we went out. I should have wrote mine.
What about rappers? Do rappers count?
Yeah, music is
Missy.
music. We probably should have did different categories. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, add Missy on in there because Missy was everything.
Oh yeah, I can't stand the rain. When that came out, I was living.
That's why I was like, that's why I was like, that's why I said I just picked the 3 that hit my mind first, but I'm like,
it's rapid fire. So for me, it would have to be Boys to Men, because when Motown Philly came out, that was a rap.
Okay.
Rap.
What?
Boys to Men. Brian McKnight, One Last Cry. When the One Last Cry video came out, I was just like, who is this woman that hurt him, and where can I make her pay?
Really?
And Nothing But a G Thing, Dr. Dre. I was not now. At some point, Mom and Dad are gonna listen to this. I'm not gonna say I heard it.
I know you wasn't listening to Dr.
I don't know who Dr. Dre is. I've never heard of this fellow. I'm a good Christian girl. I've never heard of him.
What type of doctor?
Dr. Dre. Is he a psychologist, a medical? What is he, a doctorate? What is he? I don't know a Dr. Dre. Dr. Pepper? I know Dr. Pepper. Oh, yes, he was the fellow that used to promote Dr. Pepper. He was the young fellow that did that.
Yes, that young fellow. Lord have mercy. All right. Next category. This should be easier. Your top 3 movies from your youth, from the 90s.
Oh my God.
From the 90s? Let me see.
I should have did movies and TV and split that up.
Because I barely remember when I saw stuff. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff, so I don't know when I saw it.
Right.
Like,
I know.
I can't remember if I saw a 90s movie recently and then I remember it, or did I see a 90s movie in the 90s and I remember it.
Let me think. In the 90s. That was a very long time ago.
Really? Can I just name 90s movies? That's because I cannot.
I know one for me, The Little Mermaid, because that was my movie for a long time. I know did that come out in the late 80s or in the 90s?
That was the 90s.
Okay, The Little Mermaid. What else? I used to love Ernest Goes to Camp movies.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Let me see what else. I might as well throw Pee-wee. No.
Now that was me. Girl, Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Pee-wee's Big Top, you better stop playing. But that technically was the 80s.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
You're right. You're
Are
right.
you done? You got one more.
I have one more, but I'm percolating on it. Go ahead. That ain't really the fire, is it?
Is Land Before Time? Was that the 90s?
Yeah.
I think that was the 80s. Oh, it was?
I might have
It
saw
was
it in
the
the
90s.
90s though. Because I remember seeing it on video. Was All Those Go to Heaven 90s?
I think it was.
I think that was the 90s.
I think that was late 80s into the 90s because it was 3 of them.
I can't remember.
And it was about 3, 4, 5 Land Before Times too. Them dinosaurs kept coming back.
It's more than that because they still making them. I think.
Yeah, they still going. They stop. It's like it's in the teens or 20s. It's up there. They are.
We just
not
go straight
stopping.
to Disney Channel now.
Yeah, they just putting them out. Like they still are going, and they're not saying, they're just like, well, here's another one. You're welcome. Was the Fightful?
Now you can't say Fightful around.
I thought about it, but it was too traumatic for me to even say it. But that was the 80s.
Okay.
If we mention Fightful, then we have to talk about. We have to talk about the elephant. Do we want to bring up the elephant?
Well, I was gonna bring up the elephant, but I was saying even though that movie was old, like I can't remember when it came out. I just remember
that was in the 60s.
But I
technically Dumbo came out in the 60s.
Oh, I thought it came out in the 40s.
But I didn't.
Maybe it's old. It's old as crap.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, well, that's when I saw it.
But that defines you, so that's fine.
Okay, so I take Jumbo and Sound of Music.
It's called
Jumbo and Sound of Music.
You can't do Jumbo and the Sound of Music.
Why not?
I ain't the 80s.
It wasn't the 80s. I said it was not. Now, okay, that's what I'm saying. I saw in the 90s. You said, look, I can't just pick and shoot.
That defines her child. That's her experience.
Oh, that defines your youth. If you just saw it in the 90s.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't think every movie I saw that I remember in the 90s came out in the 90s because we weren't even really watching modern stuff then. Not in the 90s.
No, we wouldn't watch a lot of modern stuff.
Because now you're talking about the Waltons.
Okay. Here
I go. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
here I go. You ready?
Go
ready? Come on.
5 Heartbeats.
Boom.
Oh, okay.
What else? Movies. 5 Heartbeats, and I probably would have to say 10 Commandments and The Sound of Music.
Boom. Done. That is, yep. And I agree with all those.
And we watched the heck out of them 10 Commandments. We knew the 10 Commandments by heart.
Mess around, get real deep and say Malcolm X and Gandhi.
I almost said Malcolm X, but
I didn't care for Gandhi, but it sure got played.
It was the first time I ever saw two videos.
That was too violent for me. I didn't like the murder, the killing scene was too much for me. But I would definitely have to say the 5 Heartbeats for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The 90s.
If you watch a lot of movies, it's hard.
That's what I'm saying. I constantly watch movies. I'm like, I don't know when I saw some stuff because I just saw it, and I'm like, and I know I've seen 90s movies even recently, so I'm like, I don't know.
Okay.
All right.
So I have to say, 5 Heartbeats. Still Magnolias.
Oh, okay. And I don't think I saw that at night. I think I was older when I saw that.
Girl, I was addicted to that thing.
I know I've seen it, but I don't think I saw it in the 90s.
And I would have to say Sound of Music, but yeah, that was 80s and 90s for me because we just never stopped watching it. That was just a staple in our household.
In the 80s, I remember watching it. We were on Allen.
We just always were watching it, and actually, my first viewing of it was the actual musical. Like I saw it for the first time when I was 6 years old. Someone took us to go see it.
Yeah.
So I've seen it in multiple formats. So that was movies.
Yeah.
So TV, your top 3 TV.
In the
It should be
90s?
much easier.
In the 90s?
Yes.
TV in the 90s. Martin,
Yeah. I was going to say Martin too.
Living Single, and In Living Color.
Why y'all gonna say all the same ones? Because I was like, hey, we wasn't watching a whole lot of TV. Let me see.
We were just watching Fox, wasn't we? Dang.
We was limited. So Shawnee said those, even though I agree with literally all 3 of those. Let me not pick those 3.
Definitely, those absolutely would have been mine.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick another 3 that I would say that you said that defined or.
Mm-hmm.
Since Shawnee picked those 3, I'm gonna say those as my 3, but I can't use those 3. So just let if you put back your mind. My other 3 would be Little House on the Prairie, Bonanza, and Ponderosa.
She said,
I wouldn't watch it, no Bonanza.
Ponderosa.
I give you Big Valley, but I wouldn't watch
Valley.
it.
That's what I meant.
Big Valley?
I meant Big Valley.
They were just on the Ponderosa.
Yeah, I meant Big Valley. Because I'm saying those are the other 3. I'm like,
always
we wasn't watching. How much
felt-
TV was we really watching?
I always felt if Papa Cartwright and
Yes, they should have got married.
What was the
mama
Big Valley?
on
The Big
Big
I know
Valley.
who you're talking about.
Victoria. If Ben and Victoria could have hooked up,
They
they
would've
could have
took over
took
the
over the West.
Or
And
took
I
over
will-
each other. One
I
or two.
will say this, and I mean it with my chest. And I didn't realize till I got older. I said, when we was talking about spring awakening, you want to talk about awakening. Lil Joe was my awakening to white dudes. Because I didn't realize till I got older. I was like, I had me a crush on some Lil Joe. But I did not have a crush on Tom.
No,
I had a crush on Lil Joe. I was
did
like,
too.
hello, Lil Joe.
I had a crush on Lil Joe, and I had a crush on Nick on Big Valley.
I don't remember Nick as much. We didn't watch.
He was an older brother.
I don't remember Big Valley as much.
But that Audra, the sister, I'm gonna get back to mine. The sister, she stayed in so much trouble. She worked my nerves.
I was like,
be dumb and make the worst decisions.
They would say, Audra, don't go there. You can't tell me. I'll do it. I was like, you know what?
Then she
That's why you forever
now
get
you kidnapped.
and
She was forever kidnapped.
held hostage.
She was forever kidnapped by some dude, random dude that looked like the villain and act like the villain and talk like the villain. It's not even surprised. Like he might be like, "Hello, Audra, I'm evil," and she like, I mean, and she'd be,
I think I love you.
I'm about to punch you in your throat.
But I tell you what, though, they mama, when she put on her riding pants and grabbed that rifle, mama wasn't no joke.
Don't let she put on her pants. It's on.
Okay, so my
You gotta do
3
your
for
3.
TV. Oh wow, because Shawnee's 3 literally defined my youth.
That's
Like,
what I'm saying. I can't. She took the 3. She took the 3.
literally defined my youth. And I still watch them to this day.
Because if Shawty had to pick those, I probably would have picked those. But I had to pick another 3 that we watched all the time. Oh, I could have said Andy Griffith instead of Big Valley.
I don't know why nobody said Andy Griffith.
I'm gonna replace since I ain't take my last one. I'm gonna replace Big Valley with Andy Griffith.
I honestly have to say In Living Color if I don't say nothing else.
Oh
Yep.
my god!
Because that was
I used to
so.
want to be a fly girl so bad.
I was going to be a fly girl.
It
There
was-
was no want. It was happening. This was happening.
As soon as I turned 18, oh, I'm a beat.
Me and my friends we were practicing. We were preparing. It was this was taking place.
With young little J Lo.
And Lorianne.
I would say both Loriannes.
Yeah.
And the one on what's her face?
Dancing with the Stars and
Yep.
and Boom Cat was on
Yep.
there.
Yeah, what's her
Okay.
face? What's what's her face?
And that girl that was in Remember the Time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
They had a lot of.
Well, all of them are still working to this day.
A lot of the Fly Girls blew up. A lot of them did later on.
But so I would have to say In Living Color because it was so. It just changed.
It was cultural. It was a
cultural. Yeah, it was so.
It
was such a culture change. Like Martin was great and it was funny and it definitely was impactful. So was Living Single, but In Living Color was comedy. It was acting. It was music. It was fashion. It was everything. You know. It was Black Saturday Night Live. So the point. It wasn't. That's not comparison. Just that was what we had. And it was good, you know, and that they had live artists on at the end of the show.
It was just so much about that, which is amazing.
They talked about stuff the other people weren't making jokes about.
Yes.
Let me ask you this, and then I'm gonna do mine. Did you all notice between the 90s and the 2000s, almost every Black show, and I thought about this the other day. I was watching several shows. Almost every show had a club or a coffee shop that had live artists between the 90s and the 2000s.
They really did.
I did. You know, on Pay LaBelle show that she had, they had that. And the party.
Girl, I'm going to claim that one because that was my joke.
Out All Night.
Out All Night. No,
but for the longest time, I thought when I got older, when I became an adult, I would be able to go out with friends and we're going to go to coffee shops and stuff and it's going to be, and I was like, that's not a reality. That's not how real coffee shops,
at all.
Not a thing.
But I'm going to tell you what, that was Morris Chestnut and Dwayne Martin's first big introduction. And when I first saw me some Morris.
And Vivica.
Okay. I
girl,
Vivica was my issue.
Girl, who is this chestnut? Yeah, yeah.
You know what's crazy? Back then, when Out All Night was on, I only knew Vivica as that lady that was on that BET soap opera.
Yep.
Oh yeah, Generations.
Yep.
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 That was a good show.
And I would like to say though, Morris Chestnut has aged very well.
He has.
Because I saw it.
Unlike Omar
the most recent
Omar, I don't know what happened to Omar, but God help him.
I don't know. But more the
last
last
was not never cute.
He had a moment in time.
And it was a moment. It was like a quote. But Morris Chestnut, he didn't have a moment. He had more than a moment. But like I saw the most recent thing he was in, and I was like,
Morris is the moment. But anyway, he's married. His wife knows the moment.
Okay, I can look. Take him off TV then. Because if you keep putting him out there, I'm going to keep looking at him.
Omar, when Juice came out, I was like...
You got the juice?
When my friends would say, like, they were saying that they like Omar, I was just like, y'all need your eyes checked. Who are y'all looking at?
Yeah, Omar.
No, ma'am.
I never was like an Omar, like no, I never... No. Like anything I ever watched because I liked his acting in it. I was never like an Omar fangirl.
When he did Love and Basketball, I thought that was his moment. That was his little period in the early 2000s. Like he
even though I looked at that later and I was like, oh no, she should not have ended up with him. He was horrible.
No, really not. He didn't deserve her. Like he was a major jerk.
He treated her like crap the whole time. From the beginning. Oh no.
I often said that, like, that's really not a real love story.
But it's like when I saw it the first time, I was young. Then I saw it with adult eyeballs, and I was like, no, that's not cute, girl. Girl.
You don't get the double or nothing me. No, sir.
Girl, no. You gave up your life and your goals and your drink. Girl, no. Did you ever say all your three?
So I'm saying Living Color.
Yeah.
I have to say in Living Color.
Yes.
I'm gonna take Out All Night because that came out in the 90s. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of shows that came out, a lot of Black shows that came out in the 90s that were very definitive.
Yeah. I almost said Family Matters.
Oh yeah.
I really could say Family Matters.
You could have. Yeah.
I'll take Family Matters. I'll take Family Matters for the win, Alex.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like when we talk, it's like, yeah, I'll think about more stuff. I'm like, but it's really
because that was major in our house. No, well, that came out in the 80s, but this went over into the 90s. Here's what I'm gonna take. I'm gonna do 227 and Amen.
Oh!
There you go.
That's it. That's it.
There you go. 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 Why did I say Friday for one of my movies?
I don't know why you didn't say Friday for one of your movies.
Well, I'm gonna take the thing you gave me in the movie. What I'm gonna put Friday with one of my movies. I don't know.
I didn't say Family Matters because towards the end it just started getting goofy and weird.
It was ridiculous. It was on. To me, it was on 2 seasons, possibly 3, longer than it needed to be.
Yeah,
it was on for 9 seasons, and I think it probably should have ended around 6.
It did. When they started having him cloning himself or splitting himself.
When it got to the cloning, although the Steve Urkel character was fine, but it was, to me, wasn't necessary. And then when he was cloning himself into everybody, was too much.
And then they started really bringing the female cousin on. That was him, and it was just too much happening.
I don't like the female cousin,
but I'm saying it was too much.
It was the other. He was like the last 2 seasons. He was becoming everything and everybody.
That's what I'm saying.
And
like,
then,
it was just like
and then they switched the mom at the end because Jo Marie Payton left, and I never acclimated myself to the new mom at all. Like, she was a different. It was like when the mom changed. Why didn't I say Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
That's what my gasp was. My gasp was like when you said switch the mom.
I was thinking that too. When you said that switch mom, I was like, oh yeah.
227 and let me put in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah, put that in because I feel disappointed in myself because I watched that to the end.
I'm sorry because I cried on the last episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Okay, that was my family.
Look, say whatever you want to say about everything else, but now the other one, even though I think it might have started in the 80s, but I don't remember it till the 90s, was The Cosby Show. I mean, say what it is. You
could have that. You could have
it defined. That was, I mean, again, another show I watched to the end. Like, I did.
I cried the last episode of that one too. And look, I was actually on punishment that day, and I was in another room with my ear leaning on the door.
Yeah, now I feel, because I'm like, that's what I'm saying. It's like the more I think, I'm like, oh wait, no. Yeah. Because I'm like, some stuff I don't remember in the 80s.
If you do Cosby Show, I'm gonna have to do a different world. Let me take out.
Okay, you see now we over here doing it. I'm gonna replace this with that.
I'm gonna trade you your Cosby Show.
I trade you one big valley for a Cosby Show. Then I'm gonna trade you a. We are not following the rules. I wouldn't be fair to
my people if I didn't do a different world.
The rules. 3 became 6. Now we at 12, 24. Okay, all right. I think we got it.
I feel good in my sanctified soul now.
I think we got our Pokemon deck.
Okay. All right. So
y'all forgot about the MC Hammer cartoon. It's like,
no, I
we're done.
No, I did not.
You about to be put out now.
No, I didn't.
You good?
No, I did not. Yeah, no, I didn't.
Oh my gosh. That in the 90s, between the late 80s and the 90s, it was like, why is everybody getting a cartoon?
I saw
Super Dave had one.
Who?
New Kids on the Block had one.
Almost everybody had one at one point. Yeah, I saw some of the NBC. I don't remember watching it when it came out.
Hammer with those magic pants, though. Oh my god! No, his shoes were magic. They talked. Remember?
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to have nightmares about them shoes. Let's go.
I'm gonna have a nightmare about that animation.
Gotta pull it together. Pull it together, son.
Bring it in. Bring it
in. All right. So that's supposed to be rapid fire. Next is fashion.
Okay.
What's your favorite or your most I would say your most impactful.
I can't say favorite because I'll look back and be like,
Yeah, that's why I said your most impactful. I don't want to talk about that. It's my favorite, because what was my favorite when I was in my teens is not my favorite thought in my 40s.
No.
I
look back
and I'm
like,
so glad that there were no camera phones 30 years ago. Your most impactful thought about your teenage years in the 90s when it comes to fashion.
Oh, that's where TLC comes in for me.
Ooh, I'm a TLC tip.
My mom did not like my extra baggy jeans.
She did not.
She did not like that.
Mine would absolutely be. So it was a couple for me. And I was barely allowed to actually exhibit any of them.
Because it was something I wanted, and mom and dad was like,
for
nah,
me,
negative.
It definitely was the cross colors, which I wanted cross colors so bad. And Daddy was like, if you think about to spend $60 on a pair of jeans, you've lost all of your mind. And I'm glad he didn't, because cross colors was really only trendy for a solid 6 months, maybe a year.
They weren't. Because everybody probably realized this look horrible. What are we doing?
But the one for me that I wanted was when girls were wearing like the wingtip shoes and the dress pants with the suspenders, and Daddy was just like, why do you want to look like a man?
That look pretty much came back, and I'm a fan of that.
And I'm still here for it, okay?
Like,
and
I'm a fan of that look. Because y'all gonna mess around, y'all gonna see me with
overalls with the one side down.
I remember that.
And which I couldn't wear that. Absolutely not. And the combat boots. Oh my gosh. I lived for that. And Daddy wasn't there for that one either. I was eventually allowed to get one pair, but I almost had to beg every time I wore them things.
I think of like, it's one outfit that I remember to this. One of them that I remember to this day, and I remember when I wore it, I was like, when I wore it, that outfit was it. Because I remember everybody was like, oh, that looks so cute, and now I'm like, what did you put on your body? Because I had this skirt set. When I mean a skirt set, it was like a jacket with the matching skirt, and it was like tan colored, like a khaki type tan.
You know what? I remember
with
that
leopard print on the collar and cuffs. And I wore that. I don't remember what like top I wore underneath it, because I remember the coat was open, and it was like not a long. It wasn't like a ankle length skirt. It was like a knee length maybe skirt. And I wore that with a pair of tights.
Oh, you were serious about your
tights.
And
I wore some combat boots, but the combat boots that had like a heel on them, like a chunky heel, with socks with the combat boots, but you folded the socks over the top of the combat boots.
Oh yeah, that's what we did in the 90s. And you had to fold your socks just
when
right.
I put that outfit together, I was like,
you thought you was it.
Yeah.
You thought you served like, it. You served.
No. Cause then, I mean, because I remember like my friends, everybody was like, oh my God, that is so cute. And now I'm like, what did you wear? But that was a style. I
think about the late 80s going into the 90s when we were wearing, we were coming from the monochromatic look into the, when every single thing matched. And it was so trending that whatever you had on, you wore a color of socks to match it. So if you had on two colors, you had on, if you wore white and black, you had white and black socks. If you had on
blue and purple, you had
white, black, and red, you had white, black, and red socks on. And that could be hot some days, because sometimes you had on 4 colors.
As the 90s went on, I think that trend migrated. Because
I know the socks got thinner, that's for sure.
No, not that, but the socks trend migrated to the scrunchies. So whatever you was wearing, because I had me some scrunchies to where your scrunchies are like taking up the whole half of your back of your head, and you just pile them.
See, we had the scrunchies in the 90s, but we had that banana clip in the 80s. Okay.
I can't even do banana clip no more because my hair is like, okay, banana clip. Okay.
All about that banana clip in the 80s. But in the 90s, it was also about your tights. It was the colored tights. And your tights
and
matching
they came back. Color tights came back.
Your outfit. And I had every color known to man. I was serious about it.
I wish I had a picture though, because I think I know I had a pair. I can't remember if Shani had the same pair, but like these tennis shoes, but they was like a big, when I mean a big platform, I mean like about this big. Or maybe that big.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Sneakers. Did you have a pair like that too?
Yeah, we got the same kind from Payless, and they was inspired by the Spice Girls.
Yeah,
Payless was the germs.
And I'm like, I remember I wore those out in public with no shame.
Was that the early 2000s? No,
that was like the late 90s, mid to late 90s. Yeah. And I'm like, I remember I wore those out in public with what shame? These is in fashion, dude. I mean,
and
people were wearing
different color camo clothes.
Oh my God,
yeah.
I know I had a blue camo top. I think I had a red. Yeah, because I remember I had a blue camo top and a red camo top. Green camo was kind of like not the thing. Like you're supposed to get colors. You weren't supposed to get like the real army green. You're supposed to get like colors of the camo. But like I know I had a blue and a red camo top, and that was like the thing to do, which I don't know why, but it was.
So here's our last question. This is a question. So we have camera phones today, and you know, Shani and I have children, and Angelique works with young people. So now everything is captured on camera phones, and I think back to my teenage years, and as I just said, thank you, Jesus, there were no camera phones.
Ooh, I can't even.
I was
some of the pictures that have come out of the 90s, I'm like, that's enough. That's enough.
We have two uncles actually that captured a lot of things on film, and I'm so glad that we wasn't around them a lot, because the couple of pictures that they have are mortifying. I'm so glad that they got more of my cousins than they got of us, and actually they have the least of me because I was older.
Yeah.
But that being said, here's your question. You have to answer honestly. If there was a camera phone in your youth, would you want it to capture your teen hairstyle, your makeup look, or your fashion?
None of it.
I would say, especially if I had it then, like the mindset I have now, I'll be like, burn it all down. But especially then, I really wasn't wearing makeup in my teens. I really wasn't. Like, I just wasn't. Like, I wore certain things, like lip gloss, and I don't even know if I was wearing. I really wasn't wearing makeup in my teens. I know that for a fact. So it would have been my hair and my fashion. That's what this would have been. And I thought I was banging a lot of times, and I was.
You honestly did.
I wasn't banging. Well, I was banging for the time, but now it's like,
I think you was banging.
No, I'm saying then I was, because I was like, I put effort into it because I started working, so I was able to buy my own stuff. So I was like, I want to keep up with what's cute. But now I'm like, ooh, what was he thinking of it like?
So yours was hair and fashion. You got to pick one, Shani. Hair, fashion, or
I got to pick one.
Makeup.
One.
You got to pick one.
Fashion, because I wasn't involved in my hair as much as my clothes.
I was saying hair.
Hair.
Yeah, because Shani had a big pineapple ponytail with the swoop bang.
The one I couldn't get in the car with?
Yes. Shani had it was called it was pineapple ponytail.
I remember.
A tall ponytail, and it was like strips, all that, and then you had a
Shani believed in some ponytails and you back in the day.
A swoop bang. A big old swoop bag, and you was like,
I did not play about my swoop now. I ain't playing about my swoop.
Girl, you was swoop-de-doop. Swoop-de-doop-doop.
I ain't playing about my swoops.
You was swooping. Shotty was swooping. Well, I swoop too. Everybody swoop.
Yeah.
If you
I wasn't a swooper. I wasn't a big swooper.
You were older. You were older.
I was all about that tease. I wasn't a big swooper.
But you were older, and like your age range wasn't really swooping. Like our age range was.
They were, but I wasn't. But I didn't care for it.
We were swooping.
Yeah, I think the swoop was popular, not just for young people. But I know I used to get my ponytails. I used to get my waves with the flip in the back.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that was your look,
girl. If you could get that flip up.
Then the bun.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't playing about my flipping the back on my swoop, okay?
Girl. When I was getting my hair, and I was like, they knew, don't play with me. You know what I'm asking for. And
when we had like church anniversary time and stuff, come on now.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's the only time I know I really was like getting my hair, because mom didn't really let us get our hair done like that. So like that's the time we really got our hair done. So but I speak for me because you were already older by that point. But like I know my mom was like, we going to the salon, you can get your hair done for this. So then that's when you getting swoops and flips and all kind of stuff. And I'm surprised I have hair. The amount of gel and hairspray.
That was what I was ordering.
Gel was hot in the 90s.
When I think
gel
about,
and spritz was hot in the 90s.
When I think about me around 16, so that was like 94. When I was thinking of this question, I'm just like, I swear I had to been buying a new jar of gel every pay period because I had a full-time job every 2 weeks.
Well,
like because ponytails were so popular, and you back then like you had the slick like because you was getting your perm bone straight.
Yes.
So you was slicking that hair all the way down, and then
you spray it. Then you spray that down.
And then don't be trying to get cute and try to lay down some baby hair. And then if you did a swoop, then you got to make sure that's laying just right. Or even however you did your bang, your bangs, and you got to make sure your back is like. So I'm like, I was forever going through gel and all this stuff.
That big tub of that brown gel with the white top.
I lived and breathed that Pro Style gel.
Yeah, bro. With the white top, it was a big, and you just.
Yeah, and I'm like you. It's a wonder. I had 2 strands of hair left in my head the way I was putting that stuff in my head.
Yeah. And then we started thinking we started mixing it with gel and hair grease. You would mix them together to make your hair look shiny, but it still was just as damn a cheek. But it was like you would mix them together, like you would put a scoop of gel, a good scoop of hair grease, put them and your hair would be slick and shiny, but just as hard and dry.
I think if I would have to have a camera phone back in my teenage days, and the thought of those days actually scares me now. I would probably have to say hairstyle for me. I don't think, looking back, that my fashion was so incredible. I think that I was working so hard to look as normal as the other teenagers. But kind of just was what it was. But at the end of the day, I was such a church kid, and we were always in church. I was always still dressing up all the time. So I don't think my fashion was super trendy, is what I'm saying. Because I wasn't able to fit in. And now looking back on it, I didn't miss anything. But what I know I don't want, and I'm so thankful there is no proof of, is my beginning makeup days, because that was bad. I'm so glad I'm a better me than I was almost 30 years ago, because I didn't come a long way. I didn't come a long way in the last 5 years, but I certainly have since I first started when I was 16 years old. And the thing is, when I think back to then, I really thought I was beating my faith, and God help us all. So anyway, that was fun.
I can kind of remember my first makeup stuff, and it was not Great.
No. And I used to get my tips from the magazines. You know, there was far more magazines out then than there's now because everything's online. But you know, you trying to copy what celebrities and stuff are doing with your little wet. And listen, thank God Wet and Wild has come a long way because
Wet and Wild was rough. Wet and Wild was rough.
Used to be like crayons
for real. Like, and I'm like, when I was coming up, I still was coming up in my teens when it was just like frosted everything, frosted lipstick, frosted eyeshadow. Like, so it was like, I'm thankful there's no video proof of that. Cause,
well, when I was coming up and into my late teens and into my adulthood, the late 90s, that was the black liner and the light lip.
Yes.
And that's why I'm like,
I'm
so glad.
Why that was a thing.
So glad there's no documentation.
Because I see people still do that now, and I'm like, that doesn't look good, boo. It's so, because it's just so like black.
Yeah. Bless their hearts. Well,
we done talked an hour and 16 minutes about this.
I know I'm about to segue. So tonight we're going to do a review of the movie Honk for Jesus, Save Your Souls, and it starred Sterling K.
Brown.
Brown. like the actors line. Brown. K. Brown and Regina Hall. And I thought the movie was absolutely hilarious. Most of it. There are some parts that
are not funny.
That we'll get to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, overall, what did you think about the movie?
You went over, Shani?
I felt a lot of emotion.
I did too.
The overall thing was, even though some parts were sad, it was accurate as far as telling if it's not all pastors' wives, but a lot of them do have to go through the exact same things that Regina went through. And all through the movie, I'm like, how much more is she supposed to carry? How much more weight is she supposed to carry?
Yeah.
How much is everybody gonna blame everything on her when Sterling is the one that messed everything up? You know, it was a scene that kind of summed it all up for me when Sterling was practicing his sermon.
Well, let's call him Lee Curtis because Sterling Brown and Lee Curtis.
When Lee Curtis was practicing and the inmate was like encouraging him and motivating him and telling him how much he helped him and everything, and then at the same time Regina Hall was getting yelled at and
cussed out.
And she wasn't even doing it.
Yeah.
And that's accurate.
That is accurate.
That's accurate.
That is accurate. Yeah.
And and that woman had no reason to be cussing her
out the blue.
At all.
She like just
and wouldn't leave her alone. Like, okay, if you want to get something off your chest, say it and keep moving. But you wouldn't get out this woman's face.
Anything. You cussing at the person that didn't do anything. But I would say, You know, I've watched it a couple times. The first time I saw it, I was like, this movie is really funny. And then when I watched it again, I was like, this movie is really troubling. It's really triggering. Because like Chantilly said, it's a lot of accuracies and us growing up around pastors and their wives and their families and seeing people who have to bounce back from things and everyone doesn't actually fall. Some people are accused of things that they never do, and their families still have to bear the brunt of it. But for the sake of this movie, he actually did do something. And it's absolutely clear that it is based off of a pastor who's no longer here with us. Yeah. Past EDL.
So Oh, when I watched it again, it was the heaviness of that, because I'm so familiar with that fake smile that Regina has through almost the whole thing. And even though I've never been the wife, it's enough to just do it as the daughter. And not that our families had to deal with scenario, but even just the having to feel like you have to be on and perfect for people all the time. That feeling of saying the right thing, being the right thing, because you're being scrutinized and watched. That feeling, that'll make you lose your mind. So I was just like, you just feel sorry for her, and she's having to keep this smile on her face, but she's having to watch him. She's cleaning up his messes everywhere he goes. Like, he can't help himself.
And he keeps making them.
He's making them throughout the movie. Like, you just like, dude, like, keep you under control. So it's like she's trying to hold her marriage together, help him rebuild the church, keep him together, keep him out of prison, keep their name okay, and hold her, somehow keep her sanity, which in the end she barely manages to do.
Yeah,
I don't think she did at the end.
Well, do we want to jump, or we just want to stay with are we going this linear? Like, we're just given, because I'm like, we gonna jump, I'm gonna say everything.
I don't care to do linear.
Okay, go ahead, Shani.
Okay, so at the end, you can see it when he kept calling her Trinity.
That part almost made me
was
cry.
Like she was gone. You could tell, and that's what I wrote down.
It was like she just finally gave up.
You could see,
like
she was gone.
She was
gone.
She
could tell when he kept on saying, "They coming for me. They coming for me."
She was like, "I'm done."
And the look that she gave him when that car was doing the donuts, and she was just like,
"I can't do this anymore. I can't."
And I think it was the look,
but she was like she was there, but she was gone.
He was gone.
And
I think that was the realization that he wasn't there for ministry. Like, she's been fighting for the ministry,
and he wasn't even there for her.
For yourself.
And he's not even there for her as his wife at all. Like, she's like, you don't care about even me. Like, he just.
That's why she told him when he kept bothering her about that hat, and she was like,
"It's gonna be a line." We gonna
said, Lee Curtis, there are some things like this hat
you got to keep yourself between you and God
and the God you serve.
We're not gonna keep doing this.
Oh, you done put me through. I will wear the hat I want to wear.
Let me know we don't serve the same one, obviously. And the thing with the hat, that thing, when he kept on saying, "You're gonna make us look bad. You're gonna make us look bad."
Her hat. You're going through this because of your struggles. Your struggles is what caused the issue. Your struggles of being, let's call it what it was. Your struggles of being a closeted gay man who's trying to fight it off with religion, but instead of just accepting yourself and living that way, you freaking dragging everybody else down with you, caused all of this. And you mad about her hat? Yes, her hat's gonna make y'all look bad. Her jewel and spider silk hat.
Early in the movie, it's all about appearances. The way he talked about them suits in the very beginning, appearances is his thing. It's his thing. But the saddest part of the movie to me, when you say his sexuality, and I honestly didn't catch it till I think like the third time I watched it, like really saw it.
Yeah.
Without being too graphic, because I don't know the ages of all of our listeners.
So what it's gonna be?
But their fellowship scene.
There you go.
I had to skip it because Leia wouldn't leave the room, so I don't know what happened.
Okay.
It's clear she's a beard. At that point, it's like
I'll put it this way. I'm gonna make it family friendly. But you focus, Shani? You listening? You ready? They're in the bed at night. She wants to fellowship with her husband. He wants to fellowship with his wife. They get started, and before it even gets far, he immediately turns her onto her stomach. Already a red flag when you know what his issue is.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's like, wait.
Okay, I got it.
I thought we could do it
The regular way.
The regular way.
I heard
And
that part,
so-
but Jalea wouldn't leave. Okay. I know.
She was like, I thought we could do it the regular way, and he's like, okay. So he tries to do it facing her,
And he can't.
ED
Oh.
happens. I'm gonna say ED happens, and he has to stop and try to reawaken himself, and he can't. So he said he turns back over and is like, "Can you do the other thing?" And so she gives him a Benjamin James. And he's able to accomplish his
I can't breathe.
I'm trying to make sure we can say what we need to say without saying what we need to say.
I appreciate that. That's very creative.
And he's able to come to fruition. And he doesn't.
We gotta take communion tomorrow, y'all.
He doesn't even realize that
Nothing.
is a problem.
She didn't get anything out of it.
No,
Nope.
he's like basically.
And
like,
he was done in
thanks-
like 2.5
Yeah,
seconds.
he's like, "Thanks, babe," and she's like, "Okay." So it's like
kick
that
him in his
scene
shin.
is like you can't. It's like by that point, it's like when I got to that scene in the movie, I was like, okay, he's not even bi, he's gay.
He's
He's
gay.
not attracted to women.
No.
So
That's when I saw that. That's when I was
it's
like,
ugh.
"You're a beard boo.
Yeah.
He ain't with you.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is
He ain't with you for you."
No, it's oh
Yeah, what I was thinking when I was, you know how people like,
But
I
y'all
most
can
of the
take
time
that out to the
I'm
world.
thinking-
Benjamin James, use it in your life.
when I was thinking like maybe he wouldn't have been like that if he could just be who he was, but he still would have, even if he was who he was, even if he had a man who he was married to, his heart was not right.
Yeah, his heart
No.
wasn't right.
He was selfish and he did everything out of ego and wanting to be seen.
Yeah.
You know, so he didn't care that, you know, stop and think, what is your wife getting out of this?
Nothing.
Well, even when he went and did the baptism, because I'm like,
And it was
And
so
he-
like,
are you serious?
for some reason, I
undressed.
do not remember that scene the first time I watched it, and I rewatched it, and I was like, "What are you
I
doing?"
felt the over her eyes. I felt the same way. I was
Was
like,
she really? Was she over her? She said, "Oh,
you in church with your drawers and socks on?
I was like,
and he was just doing it like it wasn't
I
nothing.
was so confused. I was like, why do you not realize
I
that's
thought
the problem?
I thought she was gonna hold him down too long. When she
That's,
looked
I was gonna ask
outside.
y'all, was it just me or did y'all notice that
I was
she had him
worried.
under the water a
I
couple
was
seconds?
concerned. I was concerned.
Longer
But
than-
she fixing to save Mr. type of
No.
moment.
Really?
She was like, "Oh, this devil coming out today."
And when they got up and when they was arguing about the amen and the amen, I was like,
Okay,
Lee Curtis.
Really?
Lee Curtis.
that's not the point. You got bigger issues, boo, about what's hot and popping on the internet.
And that's when it goes back to the end where she's like, oh man. I said oh man. Bobby about this amen again.
Now, when you talk about, because there were so many other perspectives, so many other things that happened in the movie, right? So I don't want to just focus
Oh my
on just
God.
him, right?
Yeah.
So when we talk about things from our perspective, when you grow up in church, that church member that she encountered in the mall, I wanted to choke her so
laughed
bad.
so hard because
Miss Nice Nasty.
I was like, this conversation is so nice nasty, and I heard everything they was really saying, so I
Okay.
couldn't do nothing but laugh because I was like, I hear what they really saying, and it's hilarious because they just was so, oh, bless your heart, well, bless your. I was like, I can't.
And she was one of the ladies, she was like, "Well, I'm sure other members are going to come back to the church." And then Regina said,
But you
not,
are.
right?
I said, oh.
You the church.
Oh.
You in another.
And she said, well, bless your heart. She said, well, bless yours. I was like, I can't with your. I
Ooh.
said,
And then she called her a B word after she left.
I was like, I understand. That's how it is. Because they not going to say nothing but they finna be nasty. And if you don't know what you hearing, they was tearing each other apart.
Oh, they was cussing each other out. They was about to put them hands on each other.
They was tearing each other apart in that mall. But it's
okay. I want to get my two saddest parts out the way. It was two sad parts. So I want to get them out the way.
Okay.
Then I can feel like I can go on.
Okay.
The first sad part, the Khalil character had me want to lay out on the floor and cry.
Khalil. I'm not good at
the
names.
boy,
the young man at the end.
Okay.
The boy who wouldn't take the hush money. The boy who wouldn't do the
same. Yeah.
I was through. Because you could see him
acting his behind off. He acted his behind off in that one little scene.
You can see how hurt he was.
It's like that one little scene, like you had heard about him earlier in the movie, but like that one scene, he made you understand everything in like
how bad he messed with
5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it wasn't even a long scene, but he was like, he made you understand everything in that, from when he would just sit in the car not saying nothing till the end. Like I forgot to look up that actor. He acted his behind off with that. Like he was like, you gonna feel what you supposed to feel with this. Like I was just like, oh wow.
The second one was when he made her do mine with the mind makeup.
Let me tell you something.
I felt everything she felt.
I wanted to cry for her.
That was so demeaning, disrespectful,
demoralizing,
belittling, demoralizing. Like it, I was just like, what? So by the time
it showed that he was literally making a clown out of her. That's what it showed.
So like by the time she got to her breakdown after that, I was like, I agree with everything she's saying.
And listen, not everything. And you all know, because it starts off with the amplified music, but when you realize she out there with that little boombox, and I know what that feel like. I know what that feel like.
That scene is like, some people won't even get that little direction. Like whoever the director was for that scene, I'm like, that little bit of direction of, you see the scene close up with the music sounding like how it normally would sound, like in a movie, whatever. And then it comes out to what it really looks like, and you just hear she's listening to it through a little cheap boombox. I was like,
and on top of her,
that just made you see like it's even worse than what you originally see. Because it's just like,
and you can't get into the spirit with a boom.
It's like, it's a cheat. The sound's not that she's on the side of the street, on the side. It's just
in her first lady suit. She wasn't even in her memory clothes.
That was not on my clothes.
I was like,
and
Trinity.
On top of that, while she still got, I'm associating mine with clown for this scene. So because while she still got on the clown makeup, she gotta talk to Khalil, make sure he don't do nothing to her husband, who did something to both of them, and deal with him, still asking her for stuff, asking her to do stuff like that scene.
Go give me a battery, Trent. I need a battery, Trent. I need a battery. Seriously,
battery.
I'm surprised I'm surprised she only cussed as much as she did.
Okay. I'd have took that bull. Would you like me to take that bullhorn and beat him with it? I'd have been like,
I think one of the scenes that really broke my heart, that if I just had to pick the scene that did it and showed where she was as far as her support structure, everything, was a conversation with her mother.
That was what I was going to say. That was the one that hurt me. Because I was like, your daughter is coming to you for help, and you're telling her stay.
And calls her.
You told her she was dumb, basically.
And I'm like,
she called her dumb.
And I'm like,
and she wasn't acting like a Christian.
And I was like, I'm so thankful.
As most women do.
Our mother would not ever do that. if we wanted to stay, she'd say, okay, this is how you pray to stay if you choose to stay. If we was saying we want to go, she'd be like, okay, well, go. Our mother would like, when I'm listening, like, she's prayed. This man, this not even just like, oh, he cheated on your daughter. He's disrespected your daughter and treated her like nothing. And your response is, you wouldn't have had. And I said, because when I watched it the second time I heard this, she said, you got everything you got because of the man up there and then God.
Right.
Right. But she was the root of everything.
Wait.
Doing everything.
You gonna first praise a man and then also God. And then also, and again, no. She got what she got because she cleaned up him. To make
but she felt like that about her own marriage, though. So she didn't see that no different. Because she said she was the same way with her own husband.
It was a couple scenes that really like,
that one was the one that got me. And I was just like, because it
was a surprise.
I speak to women like that. And like, that hurt me.
You can't even go to your own mother.
That's like, very common.
That's
very common in ministry.
Like that. It is.
It is common.
It is. That makes me want to slap her mom and every woman that think like that, that makes their daughters feel guilty for not wanting to be in an abusive relationship.
Yeah.
And then saying, oh, this is what God wants.
Yeah. And
my eyelashes must be too long. My phone can't recognize my face.
And speaking of your eyelashes, because I got another thing to say after that, but speaking of your eyelashes have been distracting me in the best way.
I have Face ID on my phone. I'm trying to check a message, and my phone is like, no, I don't know who you are.
I keep looking at your face, and I'm like, them eyelashes is bad. I can't wear my glasses, but them is bad. But I will say, like, when I kept looking at Regina Hall, how she was acting, which in my mind I kept calling her Regina King because
I always confuse their names.
And I know they're different, and they're both in different things, but it just, I go Regina, then I go to
Regina King is from Friday.
Regina King is from Boondocks.
227. We started in 227.
Regina King is from 227.
But I was saying, how Regina Hall was acting Trinity, which that's the most horrible way to spell her name, but Trinity, and she had to if you especially watching it the second time, she had to act and play so many emotions that were subtle. Like Lee Curtis, his emotions were kind of all like in the same, like not in the same type that were bad, but like hers were like she had to play so many subtle ones. Like, so it's like if you look, especially looking at her, she, by the time you get to the end, I was right there with like, she's like, I kept on like watching it, and the more I was like, she's going to lose her mind because she's and it's like, so by the time it gets, especially when she has that breakdown and in the church after, and it's like when she leaves, like she makes this, it's like you'd have to hear like the sound she makes when she like wipes her face, and it's like,
oh, that goes
like that sound it.
When she said, I'd rather kill him dead.
And but after that, and she's like,
when
like,
she goes, when she wipes her face,
and she's like,
yeah,
and she's like makes a sound, and I'm just like, and it's like, so by
but
the
you
time
knew the breakdown was coming
that,
to me.
That point to when you get to the end and you see her just staring, it's like,
she gone.
It's like she looked, and it's like not in a bad acting way. She looked tense through the whole movie. She looked so tense and repressed. Like she looked tight because like everything was.
She's very picking up his message. She don't know what he's gonna say or do.
She can't express what she really feels. She can't say what she really feels. She can't. She has to just be the wife, be happy, smile, be this. And so it's like it's like she looked, and I'm saying this in a good way. Like Regina Hall, like she looked tense without looking like weird. Like weird, but she looked like very tense and like I'm holding it in, I'm repressing it, I'm pushing it down, everything. And then, so by the time you get to the end and you see her, that look, it's just like, you're not surprised because she's just gone. She's just gone by that point. Like, by this point, she's dealt with so much. She's dealt with knowing she knows. She's dealt with knowing her husband is gay. She's dealt with knowing her husband did these, things and destroyed their church. And he does, and it's like, by this point, she's like, he doesn't get it. And he won't get it. So I'm just going.
Mm-hmm. But you know that breakdown is coming when she walks into that gym and he's with that boom guy.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, I just got you out of trouble and you in here alone with him with your shirt off. Like, what the heck is your problem?
Like, when I saw that, I was like,
asked him, she was like, did you offer him that with the way she asked him that?
Yeah.
Because like, did you just get yourself in more trouble that we're gonna have to get you out of? Is that you can tell she was starting to unravel then, and it's like
accepting it,
unraveling, and I'm tired of this. I'm having to follow behind you like a child. I'm having to always come behind you to hear what you're saying, see what you're doing. That's a grown man. You can't control yourself. You need to stop at this.
And I would say, because I'm like, his character, because it's some movies or shows I watch, I don't like the character from the beginning, because that's how it's written. You're not supposed to like the character from the beginning. His character, I liked less and less and less as the movie went on.
Right.
Because when it first starts, you don't know what happened. If they're saying scandal, this, you don't know.
Because I thought it was money when it first started.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, okay, then they kind of leak a little bit more out. You're like, oh, well, maybe he cheated. It's like they don't, and then so by the time you get to what it really was, you're like, okay, that's still a problem. Okay. And so the more they keep going to the movie, you see what it really is. And so it's like, the more you get into it, and then you see his, some people might look at it as optimism, but I'm like, his was just selfish obliviousness. That's really what it was. He was selfishly oblivious to what he did to anybody, what he's done. Like, he's just in his own world of it's fine. And it's
well,
not
how he responded to Khalil when this boy telling you you hurt me, and he was still telling him, I know I did my best by you. No, you apologize. You humble yourself.
Yeah, but it's like when I went to the end, it's like you see at the end of what it really was. It's like then when you watch it again, it's like looking at how he was when they were having breakfast. And when you go back, it's like, so this was a problem when y'all eating breakfast, and you over here talking about your grandma's china. And it's just like, you just see, he just doesn't care.
That's Meemaw's china. Okay, you're going to have to sell Meemaw's china in a minute.
He just doesn't care. It's like everything is just like...
Well, he didn't need to be doing a documentary. The amount of trouble you in, you don't need to have nobody in your face.
I'm just like, oh my, like, he just doesn't care. It's just like, he's in his own world of just, it'll be fine.
Just so here's what I wanted to say from devil's advocate. I hate the term devil's advocate, but on one side of it, it takes something to bounce back, even if you legitimately fall. If you fall, especially if you're in ministry. If you're in ministry, if you're a business owner or whatever, it takes a tenacity.
It does
to bounce back. So when I first saw it, my first thought was that he's focused on the comeback, because it takes.
And that's what it looks like.
Because you're gonna have to shut out the people who are talking about you, the naysayers, the people who aren't with you, the people that leave. It takes something to come back. So initially, that was what my thought process was, and so because my first thought, because they said scandal, was I honestly just thought it was money because they just kept saying scandal.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it took me, it didn't take me long because we've been in this for a long time where I was thinking, even if it's money, it must be a darn lot of money because he went from 26,000 people down to 5.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, anytime you have a mass exodus like that,
Yes.
it's something major.
And that's what I said. I thought it was money. Then I thought it was, well, he cheated. But I didn't know it went to that.
And the reason why I thought it had to be money was because the first scenes is he's talking about his clothes, how he dressed, what he's driving, where he lives, and so I'm like, he is so arrogant and pompous and prideful.
Yes.
And it's one thing to be about prosperity, about the blessings of God, the kingdom of God. There's nothing wrong with that. Our Father is, but that's not what he was doing. He was bragging on himself and what he had.
It was all look what I got.
Now segue. Pastor and co-pastor
they was much.
Now
had me giggling so bad.
This is what I got out of them though, because of the way they showed it, and it could have just been me, but I was like, when I was watching it, especially the second time, I was like, they're about to be 2.0 of them.
Next.
Because they were so holier than thou and self-righteous, but acting like they were. I'm like, y'all still aren't getting it. Because they still were, acting like they were just like, oh, we hope they're no, y'all ain't right either.
You're lying. And his wife was doing the absolute most.
And I'm like, y'all are about to be a next problem, but a different problem.
I was going to ask you all your opinion, because when I was watching them, and I watched it a couple of times because I wanted to make sure my review was accurate. Mm-hmm. I couldn't read him. I honestly felt like he really was trying to be right, not perfect, but like he was trying to be right. And I actually think he really was in support of them. But to me, she was Sister Hollywood. She got first lady syndrome and she got it bad. And
she was like, first lady, but she was pastor.
I read him because I think you won't, not you personally, but I'm saying I think you won't be able to pick up on him what you're picking up on because they're putting him against Lee Curtis. But if you take that away, he was that way too. But
that's the reason why I wanted to ask your opinion.
A lot more muted to where it wasn't
right. Because when I watched it last night, and it was like the 5th time, that's when I was, because initially I was like, oh, it's just her, it's not him. When I watched it last night and I studied it, and I was like, I want to make sure I'm not missing. And then I was reading his eyes when they asked him about, did you know that they moved their church service?
Lies.
And at first when she was like, no, we didn't know. And when she looks at him, his eyes shifted. And he was like, because if we knew, we'd never. And I was like, oh wait now. Wait.
They both
You're lying. That's a lie.
Yeah. They were just like, we're going to be so holy and so saved, but I'm like, they wasn't right either.
Because they had just met about this changing of that church service and them having Easter and what was agreed upon. So when these people changed, Lee Curtis and his wife, now you get slick and you change to the same date as them. If y'all may be co-pastors, but I promise you still the one running this ship. The date that service changing was on you. That wasn't on your wife. So I'm like, I've been in this game too long.
Yes. I was like,
now there are some co-pastory situations where she may be a little bit stronger than him, but for the most part, Easter Sunday service,
competition and jealousy.
Yeah, and Easter Sunday service,
like it wasn't. Mm-hmm.
And Easter Sunday service would have been his judgment call, 100%. Easter.
Now I ain't gonna lie, I did laugh out loud when she was like, when Pastor Sister Sumter was like, let's pray, and And Trinity said, we got two gathered over here, we're fine.
I felt them on that. I wouldn't have prayed with them neither.
Nah, keep your hand over there. We got two gathered. She said, we got two gathered over here, we're fine. No ma'am.
When I first peeped Sister Sumter was when they was the first interview, when he's trying to sing his little hymn. And she's singing it. She was like, did y'all have trouble with parking? And I said, can you keep your Hollywood syndrome in check? He's trying to sing his little hymn.
Yep. And that's the thing, is like, because I remember when I was looking at it again, the last time I looked, which I don't prescribe to Rotten Tomatoes scores for what I like and what I don't like,
because it is very, very high.
But the last time I looked, it was 71% for Rotten Tomatoes, which was like the not reviewers, but the critics, and then 21% for audience. And I was like, I know for a fact the 21% is because Christian people got in their feels.
Yeah.
This movie wasn't saying all churches, all Christians are like this. But as a Christian that is in church, even though I'm not going to tell, we don't say we're Christians, we say we're believers. That's a whole other story. But if
she just
because I'm like, that's a whole other deep conversation we ain't getting into right now with this movie. But if you can't just honestly say that is in the church as a whole, this story, even outside of the specific pastor it was based on, is in the church as a whole. This type of story, like, you don't have, like, the fact that people got that offended where they're saying this is a bad movie. Relax. Like,
well, the people that got offended, they've come from it. The people got offended. It's been their experience. And speaking of experiences, what church did Deaconess Cole Pepper come from? Because where she said she used to go to church and the minister of music, that concerns my soul.
But I'm like,
Cole Pepper, who is
the older lady?
Deaconess. When she was talking about
the
she
music
was like, the church we came from.
Oh, in the beginning.
I was like, what church did you come from?
Yeah,
man. They just ignore stuff.
Yeah,
and that's what they wanted her to do with her marriage.
Especially if you're not preaching, if you're just playing music. Yep, they'll look over.
She was walking that organ now. She was playing the mess out of it. Again, the movie definitely had a comedic factor to it, right? But here's my thing that I have said most of my life growing up. One of the funniest places I've ever been in my life is inside of a church building and inside of a church service. And if you can't find time and space to laugh sitting in church service, you'll probably lose your mind. Yeah. Especially if you are in ministry. If you, from where I sit in the pew, which is the pastor's daughter, you better find some comedy, or these people drive you up a wall. It just is. It's not going to change. So, so I, that's why I said the very first time I saw it, I mean, it just was funny to me. Number one, I just loved the actors that were in it. Mm-hmm. But when I actually watched it again for the sake of, I just needed to really review it, and I sat down and really studied it. It's a movie that I will say this to anybody that watches it. You have to watch it more than once, because the nuances for Regina Hall, the things that she does with her eyes, some of the things that you'll hear, inflections in her voice, you won't catch it or understand it the first time. It'll make sense the second time.
Because the second time hearing when she was critiquing his sermon, she was really almost saying, I don't believe you even are apologetic to me.
Right.
Apologize
but
to me.
She can't say that because of how.
When he asked her, "Are you going to sit in the middle pew?" and she said, "No, I'm going to sit over here with the common everyday believer."
Yeah, and, he's saying that it's just like, I don't, because honestly, because of how they show things and film things, I don't believe he ever apologized to her, because they would have, so it's just like, because they never
probably didn't feel he needed to.
But I'm saying the movie was never filmed like we might be missing things from private times, because they did both. Right. So it's just like the fact they never showed it shows me he never even apologized to her. But you talking about
Well-
practicing this whole sermon to apologize to the church, but you ain't even thought about you. At no point did he ever really think about her as his wife.
That
But
was his job to do that, and they don't do that.
You know,
and
it just was
And
like,
he didn't apologize to the church either, because what she was saying is, you need to say what you did and stop
Yes.
saying I'm not a perfect man. That
yeah,
don't work. That's not apologizing. Say what you did, admit what you did, show that you changed to me and the church. That's what
Yeah.
she was trying to say.
but
And
she,
he didn't-
That was after she just
but
went
see,
through that.
he would have to
yelled at
stop.
that lady.
He would have to stop doing what he was going to do, and he wasn't willing to do that. That was cleared throughout the movie.
like as soon as the
Around.
settlement happened, you about to go hit on another dude. You about to
So, but it's obvious he didn't apologize to her, because the whole premise of the movie is her cleaning up behind him, speaking for him, straightening him out. So the whole point is her keeping him right and her dealing with so much. So there clearly was no apology. That wasn't but that's not the mentality of a lot of, I don't want to just say men in that predicament, because that's number one, it's a spirit, and that could be any person. But just for the sake of this movie, I'll say, and I have lived in her shoes before with a husband like that.
Yeah.
A boy one. So I know what that feels like, to have a spouse who is cheating and who is in ministry, and you are literally following behind them and trying to clean up behind them and hoping they're not blowing something up, and trying to just save your household, trying to keep your sanity, trying to make them look good. And they don't think that they're supposed to apologize to you, or if they do, it's so half-hearted, because they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They need you to be their cleanup woman. They need you to promote them. They don't survive without you. So that's why he was trying to make sure that she looked good, make sure that she was on point for him. He don't survive without her. He don't exist without her. Mm-hmm. That's why when Anita questioned her, he did speak up. Like, why would you ask her that? But you didn't actually protect her. So it almost looks like he's defending her, but
no, he didn't want her to think about leaving.
Right.
That's what it was. Even though she said she'd been thinking about it, but that when you said that he needed her, that's the truth. He needed her to keep everything like when she was saying, he's the spokesperson, he's the face. Mm-hmm. You know, he has the energy, he has the words, he has the charisma, but besides that, everything else is me.
Right.
But nobody appreciated her for that. And then hold on, John. And then after she had been through all that, him showing her, he gonna do what he's gonna do, and she has to just, deal with it. On top of that, talking about, oh, it's almost Sunday, something isn't right, I need your help on this.
Yeah. Well, she called him. He's the talent.
Yeah.
So it's like if you get, like, that's what they call actors in movies and TV. They call it, or even other, like they so for her to call him
any performer,
you're
the talent. Yeah.
That's not saying he's the pastor, he's the talent. She's saying what he is.
Did she ever call him anointed in the movie? I don't think that she ever refers to him as anointed. He refers to himself, but I don't think that she ever called him anointed.
No, I have to think back. No.
I think she calls him gifted. She says he has a gift, but she never actually says he's anointed. That's what I'm saying, but she doesn't say he's anointed. That's two different things.
Yeah, like,
because you have a gift to preach.
Actors,
Well, but I'm just saying you can definitely have a gift to preach, but you can have a gift to preach and not be anointed. That's what that's my point I'm making. She doesn't actually
ever did
anointed.
I don't think she.
It was clear when he was practicing in front of her, when she was telling him she didn't feel it. She didn't say anointing. She said she didn't feel that raw energy or something like that. Yeah. She didn't say, I don't feel God, I don't feel mood, I don't feel the spirit. That's what she said. She didn't feel the raw energy. And because that's all he can produce.
And my thing is, I'm just, that's just my personality. I've got readings and stuff talk about it before, but like, when he was giving his sermon, it's like, because I'm saying it was moments that not even said I could see his point of view, or I was like, on his side, because I don't think I was ever on his side in any part of the movie. But like, I could see with that, him saying, that was me putting it on, yeah, okay, cool. But my thing is this, that could be you putting it all out there and your soul out there and all this kind of stuff. But at this point, it takes more than that.
But that was him because he was unrepentant, just performing.
And at that point in the movie, that scene specifically, I said she needs more than that.
Right.
She needs more than I'm not perfect. We all need to come back to Jesus. Because really, that's why I said that specific scene. By that point, I'm like, I don't even think she was thinking about the church as a whole. She was like, at that point, she needed you to apologize to her.
That's why when he told her that's all I got, that's why she looked at him and said, "Well, I guess we're gonna have to pray then."
Yep.
Because that was
that's actually when she was done. That's when she had checked out.
Yep. And I was just like, that scene was just like, oh. That scene was just like, when I was like, because I like that scene because so many movies just tell you everything without just letting you figure it out. That scene, because she was saying one thing and he was saying one thing, and she couldn't say what she really wanted to say, and he wasn't hearing what she had been saying. Yeah. And it just was nothing was accomplished. It was just nothing.
Now, it wasn't going to be either. It was too...
Yeah, I will say on a lighter note though, one of my favorite scenes was because I wasn't expecting it, when they was in the car, and I thought she was gonna be mad, and she started singing "Nuck If You Buck." I was like, wait, because I thought
the fact that they had choreography told me that they "Nuck If You Buck."
I was thinking, he's about to sing this song, and she's gonna be mad and silent in the car, and then she came in with her verse. I was like, what is happening?
And then they played that song when they went to go talk to the other pastor.
Oh my gosh. I was just, that scene, I think that was one of the scenes that really caught me off guard.
They went hard with it too.
She was like, okay. She said, I was just, because like, he started doing his part, and I'm thinking, okay, he's been selfish and considerate. He's gonna be rapping, and she's gonna be in the car like quiet till the next scene. And so when it switched and she just jumped in with her verse, I was like, what? What is happening right now?
You gotta look if you book, honey. Sometimes you just gotta get it out.
When we talk about that was one of my songs. That was one of my songs. That used to be my song. But yeah, it's like that.
But it was two things.
Go ahead.
Oh, two things I wanted to say was when she was done, when she really heard him, was when he was talking to Khalil, and he said, "I saved myself."
I was like, they both were like.
He said, I was trying to save you. But you did not save yourself. The pastor is not supposed to talk.
Like, it put them both on the back foot. Like, even Khalil, even as mad as he was, and then she was just like, they both were like, you saved yourself? You saved yourself?
He said it with his whole chest too.
And I was just
but he's still trying to approach other men, but you saved yourself. Okay. And then at the end, when that car paused. Renee, you said you saw the movie 5 times.
Please,
what was that
can
car?
You explain that car?
At the end of the Because I didn't get it at all.
I think that was Khalil.
Was he in a different car then?
That's what I thought.
Because
I think that was still him. I think that was him. They either had been him or one of the other boys. I think that was.
That's the only thing I could think. Cause he said
it was somebody taunting him, so it had to be one of those. It had to be one of those boys, but the other boys were paid off, so I think that had to been him or him behind it. And I think that's really too why that was just such a disconnect for her. Like, this is gonna be her future. Yep. This is not ending. This is not stopping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then him talking about, they coming to see me. They coming to see me, Curtis. Like, you what?
Look, when he asked her, how many do you expect today? And he said a cool 500. I was like, nah.
She said,
delusional.
If you ain't been having 500, how you think 500 walked in here today? You going from 500?
Great with 15 or 20.
A 15, a 30. 45, 47. I saw that clip the other day and that still made me laugh. But I just was like, you know, and that's what I was saying about even about the 21% on Rotten Tomatoes for the I was just like, so many people are so in their feelings, like this movie is saying all churches and all pastors are this, and I'm just like, for you to take that from this, you doing like, if me as a pastor's daughter didn't take that from this, I don't feel that this movie was talking about my daddy.
I'll find somebody to say it.
So I'm like, I took it like as the facts of there are churches and there are pastors that this is the story, with pastors with females or males or both. Right. This is a reality. It happens. Does it happen to every church? No. Does it happen to every mega church? No. But to act like it doesn't happen and you getting all in your feels, just calm down. Like, it's not that.
Oh, I wanted to say this. In the very beginning, when she asked him, what do you see for Easter Sunday? And he said, "Is nothing in here?" And she says, "Nothing? You don't see nothing in here?" That's why I say you have to watch it more than once.
Yeah.
That was, if you really catch it, she's really saying all the trouble you're already in, all the money we're spending paying these people off. You want to buy some more suits? You got all these suits up in here right now. That's why she was like, I think you should look again, hon. And what's hanging up in here. That's really what she was saying.
Yes, she was.
And I don't blame her.
No.
Because he wasn't buying no $100 suits.
No. And that's just like, the more the movie went on, I just was like, I liked him less and less. And I want to make it very clear. I know we over 2 hours into it, but I want to make sure people understand. For me, I'm not saying my issue was even that he had been with males. That ain't my issue. I don't have any issue with homosexual pastors. That ain't my issue. My issue was the context of what he did was him taking advantage of the young men that were coming to him for guidance and using that influence and power to then use it to get his needs fulfilled and then trying to buy them off with gifts. Because if they had been young, you know, even though they were all adults, I would have had an issue if it was young women. Because that's not, if people are coming to you for help them. They don't need this also.
Diddling.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
so,
like if he had just cheated on her with men that were just, I'm going to do stuff with men, that's one thing. But you're literally using the fact that people are coming to you for help to fulfill needs that you're literally repressing, and then you're also teaching against it. It's like, Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah,
because when he makes that statement, what good is a disciple if he's not disciplined? And I was like,
and she said,
Lee Curtis.
She looked at him like, really?
I think that was before the gay stuff came out.
And he caught it. He even caught it because he said, "But that's not the direct," or something. He changes up what he was saying. But the look on her face was like, no.
I don't think you need to go there. I don't think you need to go there.
That's not what you want to say.
I think you need to go there.
You gonna do that?
Like I don't want anybody to ever think that the issue that I had with that character, or that it ain't about the sexuality. It's about the taking advantage of people. Because
Khalil was like, you got a thing for young broke boys.
Yeah, and it's like, these young
that's
men were coming to you for help. These 18, 19, 20-year-old men, they're like, help, I need help, and then you use that to get what you needed.
Because he thought he was the only one. He thought that he was, special.
Yeah.
And it also hurt that she was fighting for him. Like, she shouldn't have had to been fighting his battle, clean up his mess. When they were on the phone with the lawyer and she was in that conversation, I was thinking she shouldn't even be on this end of this conversation to this degree, Like, when she's the one that's like literally yelling, like, you make sure these were adults and you make sure that that's on record. Like, that's a wife that's still covering her husband. That's not, I want the truth to be told. That's, I just need this to lighten up.
So we can get past it and then go from here. Because that's really what she kept saying. We need to move on from here. We need to move on from here. We need to move on. That's really her mindset was.
But he's going to keep her there because he's not changing.
Yeah, and that's really her mindset was always, we need to stop, finish this, whatever we need to do, get rid of it, and move on from there. And for them to do the settlement and like almost like a scene later, I think it was,
the next scene,
the very next scene,
you doing the same thing that got y'all in trouble. She was like, and she said, we just paid a ridiculous amount of money, and this is what you doing. We just paid all this money.
The dude didn't have more discipline than the pastor, something bad would have happened. But he had enough sense to say, I'm not gonna cheat on my partner.
Yeah, he was like, my boyfriend like it too. Move on. Like, and like that, I remember that scene when I watched, especially like the second time, it was like, that's when I was like, when I was watching it and I saw, it's like, I do not excuse anything, his behavior, that character's behavior at all. But it's like, when that guy said that, and it's like, he turned around, it was like, it's just like, dude, that's what I'm like saying, if you would just admit who you are, you could still be a horrible person in one context of just you being greedy and self-centered, but some of this other stuff wouldn't be an issue.
When that happens, he admonishes himself. Like, he realizes, I just went too far.
Yeah, and he's like, he turns around.
Because that guy could have turned around and wiped him right then.
Yeah, like he turned around, he's like, wipes his eye like he's about to cry, and he sees his wife. And so it's like, part of him realizes to some degree, but it's never enough to stop. Like, even when she has her breakdown, when she leaves, like the look on his face,
you can see he was reflecting
like, something is like, he sees, okay, I've hurt her, I've done damage. But then when they have
back out there Sunday acting a fool,
it's the same. It's like, it's never enough to make him stop.
No,
Mom. It's like, it's just never enough to make him just stop. It's like, that's, I'm like, I'm not ever gonna say I agree, but it's just like, they both, like, you could, like, he played, it was like some scenes you see what his struggle is, that he would fix, it would be so much better for him. But it's just like, I felt worse for her as a whole, because she really had nobody to go to. Like, they never show her with friends. She can't go to her mother. She can't go to her husband. It's like, she has nobody. She's just having to be, like, you would see her do, like, she's about to cry or angry or whatever, and she notices the camera and she puts on that smile, and it's just like, ugh. It's like, every time I saw that smile, I just was like, ugh.
I will say this to her credit, because it takes a lot to be a wife.
Oh, yeah.
When after the breakdown, when Anita asked about it the next day, and she's like, "Oh, no, we're not gonna talk about this."
Yep.
Now, you don't get to be inside my house and in my marriage. That's not your place.
And she knows don't care. You don't care.
Exactly. I thought that some people won't even get that, because her point is still, he's still my husband. Till the day I leave, it's still my choice to protect him and be here with him. And you don't still get to cast this stone and be in here. That's not what you get to do.
Yeah,
So
and she knows you don't care. You don't
no.
care. You don't care about me. You don't. You don't. You just want a story. So I'm not finna give you a story.
Mm-mm.
So we're not gonna talk about it. It happened. It happened yesterday. We're done. Moving on. I'm not gonna talk about it with you. You know. But that and now that scene where he had his arm behind her and she acted like she leaned around and like she was looking for somebody and then stepped to the side. I said,
Yeah, I've done that
"Ooh."
before.
I said,
I played that role.
oh no. I said, oh, and he couldn't do nothing but be like, okay, like he like she was, no, I'm out here. Don't touch me though. I don't want you to touch me.
Thing is, he already knew that. I'm trying to tell you, when you've been married to a fool,
but
we've had this conversation.
testing
Clearly,
with
you
her.
don't listen.
And it's like the day before she had just said, "Not you, not you. No, you. I don't need you talking to me. I'm no, not right now." But that I think that last scene where she just is gone.
I think when somebody says, "I'd sooner kill you dead than leave him," I think that should concern your soul.
Because that don't sound like you muted, Shiny. That don't sound like love.
Yeah. I would say leave that person alone.
No, but like that's what I'm saying. Like what?
It's more obligation and religion.
Yeah, that's not, and she's really saying because her mom, basically because her mom was like, you should because you're a Christian.
So they didn't say it, but my guess would have to be that her parents must have been pastors or at least major church leaders. Because of the way that because of the way that she went to her mom and her mom's response, it had to have been. It just had to have been. Yeah, and that makes it even worse,
I think because they were so religious, I think he might even called her for. I think they were maybe in leadership in the church, but I don't think they were necessarily pastors. But that, you can see that because she was like, and then to go, and then your mom essentially tells you to stay with him.
The only reason why I kind of wondered, because not my story, but it's so many of my friends' story. She behaves like a pastor's daughter who was put with the perfect looking man, so that you have the perfect looking marriage, and that happens all the time. So he's the good preacher.
It could have been.
So you know what I'm saying? Her dad, he passed. So whether he retired before he died or he died in the pulpit. But even the way that she was talking to her mom, to me, that just looked like, I think she was a pastor's daughter, which is even more painful because that means she's probably been hurting way longer than even this marriage.
Because that's a whole...
And been dealing with people.
Another conversation.
So, in my thought was, even when you go back to the fellowship scene.
Yeah. As I said, I had to tap dance around that.
And even because there's 2 bedroom scenes, even the other bedroom scene when he's asking her for help later. But I'm saying, even when you just watch their interactions, I just really got the vibe from them. I don't know that they ever were in love. I think they were almost put together.
I think
they didn't come across like a couple who was. I mean, that would definitely breach a relationship. Trust me, I've been there.
Yeah.
But I've just seen it so many times. They look like a couple who was put together because he's super charismatic. He looked good, dressed good, preached good. So that happens all the time. You get pimped out, and that's really what it is. I know people don't want to hear it, but you get pimped out to. You should be with pastor so-and-so or bishop so-and-so or apostle so-and-so or elder so-and-so. Y'all would make a good couple, but that's not who God put you with. That's not even who you really love. It's just y'all look good or y'all are a ministry power couple. But that's not, y'all won't be a good marriage though. You're not a good fit.
I think
that's where I am in my life. I don't want to be with somebody who I look good with. Or even somebody I can preach with. I want to be with somebody who I'm supposed to be with, somebody who I love and love.
I think from some of the stuff she said, I honestly think she was in love with him at one point. And I think she still was in love with him or at least
on some
I
level,
should say
maybe.
She was in love with him at one point, and I think she still loved him by the end. Not in love, but loved him. But
Right.
I think she was more emotionally invested than he ever was.
Well, it takes something to stay, and like
Because I don't think it was just the I should stay because it's
right.
what you said. I do think that at some point she was, and then over time and seeing things and experiencing stuff, it's just whittled away at that.
Mm-hmm.
So by the end, I don't think I don't think she was in love with him by the end.
Now she wasn't in love with him no more. That I can promise you.
She might have still loved him or had love for him by the end, but not the same by the end.
And you can love somebody and still leave because she was ready to go.
And
when she went to her mom, she was ready. She was ready to be done.
Well, she had already. You saw the other pastor said she had filed divorce papers.
Yeah.
And then took them back. So it's just like she wanted to leave. And then she still thought about leaving, and her mom basically was like, "Stay because," and it's just like, that's what I'm saying. Like that's when that last scene will always get me because that look where she just like takes that deep breath and it's just she's gone. She's just like she's just gone.
Yeah.
She just was like I can't. He's not going to change. We're going to be back in the same situation again. He's not gonna change. He just you over here talking. So they hear from me, and it's just like Lee Curtis, really? And he just I was like it was just the obliviousness of him. I just was just like through the whole movie. I'm just like, this is not even optimism. This is just you in your own universe.
Tomfoolery.
Like you in your own world. Like, ooh, that's this is like I felt for her by the end. Yeah. I really felt because it's like she has nobody. She has nobody.
And that's very common.
Who does she go to? Nope. She can't go to anybody in the community because they gonna tell everybody. You can't even, so it's just like, ugh. But like as a whole, I definitely like the movie. Like I can't say there's anything about the movie I didn't like. I really can't. Like,
but a lot of pastors' wives are lonely and isolated. They can't trust each other, much less other people, because they're too busy judging each other. Like Sister Co-Pastor Heavisgate, the Sumters.
Exactly.
And the Sumters came from their ministry.
Yep.
So how dare you? Yep. I think when I really realized that, I was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm definitely familiar with.
They came from their church and then started their church, and then other people went. Now
you're too good for somebody. Now your britches are too big. Okay.
Yep. And I'm like, you don't have to stay. You don't have to agree with what he did. But that we're not judging, but you really are.
And sabotaging.
Like you really are. You're judging. You are. You are. But yeah, like as a whole, like if somebody was like, oh, what is my rating out of 5 stars? I would say I would give it. I don't think I would give it 5 stars just because that's just kind of like it's 5 stars. But I know I would give it at least 4 to 4.5. Like for me, like that.
High for me. I think I'm cool at around a 3, but that's high for me. I'm hard on movies.
It seemed like some parts. And it's not just with this movie. It's with a lot of movies. They seem like they're rushing and not taking the time to really explain things.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have taken a little bit more time with certain parts of it. I don't think it was bad, but that's just a trend.
Not at all. Yeah, like I don't think it's bad, but I definitely don't think it's just like a perfect movie. I don't think it deserved no 21% from the crowd on Rotten Tomatoes. But
I also don't think a lot of people have watched it, honestly.
No.
I think it's niche too. It's niche because if you didn't grow up in the church,
you won't get it.
You you're not gonna
And
understand a lot of
and
those
you got to
things.
think what it's on. It's on Peacock, and I think
Yeah.
the overall demographic of people watching Peacock isn't necessarily African Americans. That's the
Yep.
NBC crowd.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The only reason I say that I think the 20% came from people in their fields is because I went on like Twitter, and it's a lot of Christian people throwing tantrums.
They'll get over it.
And so that's why I'm like, some people gave it low ratings because of that. And it's like,
They'll
so
get
many people are
over
like,
it.
you judging churches. Okay.
Again,
Let me ask you a question.
mhm.
If somebody make a movie about a man who beats his wife, are they saying all men beat their wives?
No.
I mean, they ain't relaxed.
This movie didn't say every church is like this.
So they're upset that the churches are being judged, but having no issue with the fact that it's clear that the premise of the movie is based upon a prominent African American pastor that most of those same people would have to know.
I think a lot of people aren't even looking at it like that. They're looking at it as
I don't
like
see how they. But my point is, I don't see how you could not.
Because they in their fields. If people
To me, that would be more offensive. If you were going to take the offense, that would offend me more. You see what I'm saying?
Some people are taking that, but some people are just looking at it as this movie is saying, they're taking it as like a whole. Like they're just like, because a lot of Christians, they just take everything as. Now, some people are making grand sweeping statements, which I don't agree with. But this movie is not saying that. Like, this movie is literally not saying that. But to act like this movie isn't reality, now you're just not accepting reality.
Couldn't say that because the Christian church experience is not the same for every person,
Exactly.
and the Black church experience is not the same for every person. If I can go to two Baptist churches and have two different experiences, much less two Christian churches.
Yeah.
So it couldn't make that statement if it wanted to, and it couldn't. And here's the proof of that. We grew up in being around predominantly white churches. My dad ministered in almost all white churches. So for the longest time, I didn't even get the references made in this movie. I didn't get them until I was almost an adult.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't in and around Black churches.
Mm-hmm.
So, but my friends that I have now, that I minister with and preach with, they're apostolic, Kojic, Baptist, like that's their experience. They came up in it. So some of our conversations to this day, they're not the same.
No.
At all.
No. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, it's just so many Christians are taking this movie personal. It's the problem.
Get over it. Grow up.
It's just like, if you know, if you know that this is not your experience in church, this is not experience you've had with any pastors that you've been around, then this movie is not talking about you or your pastor. So why are you mad?
The thing I think that with Christians that focus more on protecting and covering things up than being honest and being real about the situation or what's going on.
Exactly.
And I think that as part of it is not wanting to disrespect a man or a woman of God. But another part is just going along to get along. This is just, we don't do that.
Yeah.
We just don't do that.
That's what I'm like. The thing is, this movie, if you know, fine. But I'm saying they're not even talking. I wouldn't even say this is only about that specific pastor.
No.
It's like he's not the only one that's done it. But I'm just like you can't just get all in your feels and take all this personal. Acknowledge that this is something that has happened and does happen. And if it didn't happen to you in your specific church, why are you mad?
Even if it did happen that way in your church, it wasn't your church.
I'm like, but I'm saying like I kind of said if you're saying you want to protect your pastor, you don't want to. You feel like they're talking about your pastor, but I'm saying like
They call your pastor's
I
name.
don't have this experience, so I'm saying
If they didn't, if your pastor's name was a reference to that movie, then you should relax.
it's just like it's not that deep. It's not.
And
It's,
two,
this is not.
people
There's
make movies, to be entertained, and to be honest, it's more interesting watching a pastor who ain't right than watching a pastor who is right. It's not entertaining. It's not interesting.
No.
You have to. I think you would have to. You would have to. I don't know. Do a lot to make it entertaining. And I think that's what people forget too. Like, why are people doing all this on the TV shows and all this in the movies?
Because
you're not gonna watch it if it's not drama.
Exactly.
I know, because you watch those movies on the Faith and Family channel and Dove channel. Them movies will put you to sleep half the time.
Exactly. Like the movies and TV shows are made to be entertaining. They are going to exaggerate something that in reality is not that interesting, but we're going to exaggerate it to make it entertaining. So that's what happens in movies. I don't know how old you are. You haven't realized that, but that's what happens.
There's currently, I think, 4 different movies out on Jeffrey Dahmer right now.
Yeah, and
is every man a serial killer that's eating up folks?
No.
Okay, so we're good.
And I'm not watching now.
I did watch one, but I needed to watch me a Disney movie afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I just, I will say some things that I've seen that are legitimately mocking Christianity or something. I might not be a fan of, because if you're legitimately just mocking it, I'm good.
Yeah, because I didn't watch Black Jesus when it came out. That was so sacrilegious to me. I couldn't do it.
But like, this is not, I wouldn't say this is mocking anything.
Nope.
And again, it's some people, you said like Black Jesus, some people like it. Cool. You like what you want. Like, I don't prefer to watch it. Moving on. I'm not saying you shouldn't.
When it first came out, I just wouldn't watch it because I just felt it was going to be sacrilegious. And so a friend of mine finally said to me, well, you haven't even given it a shot. You don't even know. And so I said, because I'm a big proponent of you don't know until you know. So my friend said, you're being kind of hypocritical. And so you're right. So I watched it and I was like, yeah, that's what I thought. It's uber sacrilegious. I can't watch it.
I remember the name, but I don't remember what it was about. Or who was it?
Girl, I don't even want to talk about it. It's and you know what the thing about it to me is, it's just not even funny. It's not funny to me.
Is that Corey Holcomb?
It's
who was that?
What's the guy's name?
I can't remember the guys. I know if I said it, you would know.
Is that guy Slick?
Oh my God! What was the name of that?
It was on Comedy Central, I think, for 2 seasons. But but it just wasn't funny. I mean, it literally was not funny to me. But it was very sacrilegious.
Yeah. I don't know. But I just was like, and the thing is some people liked it, obviously. Have fun.
Yeah, but Gerald Slink Johnson. That's who it was.
But like, I didn't, that's what I'm saying. It's like some things I don't watch if I feel it's mocking, just to be mocking, and it's not actually doing anything with it. I'm good.
Nope.
But I don't think this was. I just really don't.
It wasn't. It had too many points that made you think. Too many points that, like we've all said, were sad, heartbreaking. So if it was mocking, it would have been satire. Mm-hmm. And that I probably would not have gotten enjoyment from, because this has been my life. Ministry has been my life since I was 4 years old. So it's been, 40 years.
Oh wow, yeah.
But just my parents pastoring since I was 16, so that's been almost 30 years for me. 28 years that they've been pastoring. that's not funny to me. I find and my parents know, and I tell my parents all the time, I find no enjoyment in anyone making fun of, just straight making fun of pastors, their families, their downfall, joking about them. I don't discuss stuff on my social media. I don't allow it on my social media.
Yeah.
So no, but again, it would have been satirical, and it honestly wasn't. It was almost more done as a documentary. I mean, they were doing a documentary, but it was filmed like a documentary, and I think, you know, and then listen. At the end of the day, they came and did their jobs, and they did them well, and you have to give them credit for that. Sterling and Regina, they did the doggone thing, and that I applaud them for.
And I think a lot of people need to realize, because I'm like, especially, obviously I'm not like ancient, but like in this, you know, I'm old enough to remember when social media wasn't this, you know, it didn't exist at all really. So a lot of people need to realize everybody doesn't need to like the same things. You don't have to. It's fine. So if you don't like the movie, or if you do like the movie, nobody's life is affected. If all three of us got on today and one of us said, I couldn't stand the movie, now
we ain't gonna stop being sisters.
Like nothing has happened. Nobody's life has changed. Nothing has happened. We all go on with our day. Especially it's like just if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And you don't need to announce it to the world. You know, and even if you found offense with it, okay, cool. I didn't. No, okay, we can move on. It's a movie. It's not a documentary about a real person. So we can just go on with our day, you know. So, you know, I personally liked it. Again, just to reiterate, I did like it. I don't think I'm gonna rewatch it again because I've watched it enough to review it.
I think I'm done with it.
But I mean, you know, it was a very good movie to me. You know, it obviously was stuff that they could have, you know, I would be like, you could change this, fix that, whatever. But as a movie as a whole, I liked it. You know. But
that's all I have to say about it. I don't have anything extra to add to it. I think that we did a good review. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend that you see it. Just give it a shot. It's currently showing on Peacock app. I know
you can rent it some other places too.
I'm not. I wouldn't have rented it, but
you don't have Peacock. I'm saying it's other places. It's around.
I personally didn't think it was that awesome, but
it's other places. It's around.
But I do still say support Black cinema as much as you possibly can, and Black artists as much as you can, and Sterling and Regina did phenomenal work in delivering their roles and making it believable.
Yeah, you connected.
So just like Angelique said, as the movie went on, you disliked his character even more because you got it. As the movie went on, your heart broke for her character as his wife because you got it. And at the end of the day, that's what they were paid to do. They did their jobs.
And nobody had to explain.
Ask for more.
Everything, like, this is why you should be mad at him. This is why you should be, like, nothing was, like, over-explained. It was just, you got it. You got it.
Right.
You got what you need to get. Yeah. All right. I liked it. And it's a Black director, too, so, hey.
Yeah.
Support.
All right. Are we all done for the night? Y'all got anything left to say before we wrap it on up?
I don't know. I don't. You good, Shani?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for being with us tonight. We have enjoyed having our 90s travel down
Throwback Friday.
And we will find something else to share with you and give you more peeks into our lives and our memories and our past next week. And thank you for allowing us to share and review this movie with you all. Again, take time to just watch it and give it a shot. And I personally, this is just me, don't recommend that you view it with young children.
No.
I think that it should be watched with at least children 13 and older. That's just my personal recommendation as someone who has raised children and worked with children. I know some people feel like everything should be open to all children. And if your home is a home where you don't mind answering questions, because you will, then
I mean, it is rated R, so take that into account.
Yeah. So that's that's just my little tidbit for the night.
Yeah,
so having said
I would
that,
not watch it with kids. With young kids.
No, I personally probably wouldn't have watched it with my teenagers. But having said that, thank you all so much for being with us. You all have a wonderful weekend. My name is Leah.
I'm Shani.
And I'm Angelique.
Thank you for allowing our family to be your family, and you have a wonderful night.